click that on, and I think I'm sure people can hear me. If you can't, do say something. If you can, let me know as well. Either or, don't mind. Say hello in the chat. Give me ask anything you want. Give me say hello. Make sure you're there. Make sure I know who's there. Not on the stream tonight. And tonight we are working on some terrain. I'm actually making a little park, a little enclosed stone park. That's the plan. That's the idea. It's going to be only this small thing here. I've got these little iron gate walls that I've got from Sabotage 3D print earlier on. Hi Terry, how was Austria? It was excellent, really good, fantastic Terry, thank you very much. First live stream since getting back from Austria, obviously. We went to Rome as well. I don't know if anyone saw from my Twitter feed or from also the pictures I posted here on the channel as well. And first time I've been in Rome, despite being an archaeologist for 20 years. I've never been to Rome, and that was fantastic as well, really good. Austria was great simply because I got to see my wife, number one, but I went out to Aspen Essling as well for the battlefield. I had a look at that, and we did quite a lot of stuff actually. Did some good things. Went to see Dune, the film Dune. Whilst I was there, that was good. I enjoyed that. Thought it was great. I was thinking about going back and seeing it. Evening, Kevin. Good to see you. Good to see you on board. How are you doing? Hope everybody's all right. Let's say if you're watching, hit that like button. Get that like button going stratospheric. So tonight I am, as I said, I'm painting. Basically, I'm going to make a little park because it's Terraintober over on Twitter. The thing that myself and Wise Wolf Paints John decided to do. The name comes from Richard Naylor. He came up with Terraintober, and loads of people have been doing a lot of terrain, and that's the plan over October. And then what I'm going to do is I will take everybody's images, if they want them of course, and make them into a video. So we got a nice good video of everybody's efforts over the October period. That's the plan. If you want to get involved in it, get on Twitter, check out the hashtag Terraintober, and you'll see some of the stuff that's already going on anyway. So I've got these park walls, stone walls. As I say, these came from Sabotage 3D print, and I've already base painted them, and I've also washed them. Evening Thomas, I've also washed them in Seraphim Sepia by Games Workshop. So I'm just going to quickly dry brush them. These have been laid drying while I had me tea earlier on. I've also done the base for it, but I'm going to do a lot more to that. What I'm going to do is make a little kind of ornamental garden that goes in there as well. So that's the plan. I'll get it as far as I can tonight before I have to leave things to dry. And I'll probably not get it finished until tomorrow evening, I won't think, because I'm going to Partisan tomorrow, first Wargames show since the COVID pandemic. So that's going to be interesting. It'll be nice to have a walk about and see what's going on. I am going to take my older camera with me as well, so I'm going to do some filming, I think. So I'll look out for a Partisan video in the near future. I've always wondered about doing things like interviews and things when I'm at a show. And I don't know. I think it kind of would take an entire day. Really, you never get to see anything yourself. So what I normally do is I'll just walk around most of the display games, film them. Just only a few seconds, really, like 10 seconds or so is enough. But just enough to give you an idea of the show. Right, so as I say, hi Ben, how you doing? Hi Steelers, next time let's walk through the Hurtgen Vault. You're welcome to stay on my site. Great statue, by the way, in Italy. Cheers, Ben. I will take you up on that at some point, I'm sure. That would be a nice thing. I saw some people doing that actually earlier on Twitter. There was some kind of walk through the, I don't know how you pronounce it, Hurtgenwald, painting a Centaur tank and building an A9 cruiser tank. Excellent. What's everyone else up to this evening? Do tell me. And don't forget, hit that like button if you're watching and enjoying. So basically this is how this is going to look. A very small piece, nice and easy. But I'm going to add some floral and grass and things on the inside and break it up so it's got like a little path going out on the outside. I kind of got it in my head as to what it's going to be at the moment, so it's looking a bit basic right now, but it is going to get better as it goes on. So I kind of got two choices here as to what to do, whether to actually glue it all together first of all. I haven't painted the railings or anything yet, I can do that later. So I wanted to get the stonework out of the way first, and I can paint the railings when I've done all the other stuff, the other detailing and things. I don't even know if I might paint these balls on top as well, the caps. I may paint those just to make them slightly different, just to break it up as well. Because it's obviously it's all kind of one colour at this moment. So right, first thing first. Let's stop dithering. Let's start doing. So I'm going to glue these together. These all came in the post today. These walls, and from Paul, very quick service. I asked him to print them for me on. God, when was it? Literally Wednesday, perhaps. Tuesday or Wednesday. And he has these in 28mm on his site, but not in 15mm. So I said, can you do them in 15mm? He said, I'll try them out. He tried them out, and they did them, and then they turned up today, and I've got loads of them. I've got a load of fences as well that I'm going to do. It's going to be Stephen King's Pet Cemetery. No, because no one thing's coming alive at me at night. And I don't really want my cats to be buried in there either. Right, so let's just quickly get them glued up there on the back end. So is anybody going to Partisan tomorrow? That's the question. I certainly will be. I'll probably be there about 11:30. I'm meeting my mate about. Gonna pick my mate up about 10 o'clock, and I think it's about a 50-minute drive down to Newark from here. So that's going to be my morning. My other mate doesn't want to come. Right, okay, so that's them glued in place at least. Let's tip it forward, see if it breaks or not. Okay, so we've got our little. I was going to make this into this piece was just going to be like a bog standard forecourt or something, or a what do you call it? For a farm, you know, like a farmyard. That was the idea. But I've decided against that simply because I wanted to do something a bit different. Because as I say, these turned up today, so I thought, well, I may as well do something with my new purchases. Right, the thing is now I've got to get this square on, really. That's the next thing. No, but you might go to Selwyn next Sunday. Oh, okay. Yes, South London is a little far away from me, unfortunately, to pop down to. I said I've been before to what we call it to. Come on, help me out with my brain. I've been to Salute, but only the once. But I've never been to the Selwyn show. Always known about it. 15 minutes from me, it will be about 6 hours from to the event. Okay, fair enough. Right, let's get this bad boy glued in, I think. Say less talking, more doing. and what I'll do is any gaps that I can see, I will fill them in with flock and things, so at least I've got, so it looks like it's got a little bit of overgrowth everywhere. A little a park that's not really been very well looked after because the Germans have invaded. Are we squared up there? This is always the hardest part for me, getting it square on. Right, okay, I think that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. As I say, I'm going to be doing the all the details and things like the gates and stuff, the iron gates. I'll do those later on. Maybe do them tonight as part of this. But we'll see how we get on. And I'm just gonna. I could even put a little sign on the front saying open and close, couldn't I? 9 o'clock. But you know, you get these little squares all over towns everywhere, left, right, and centre. So it's just another little addition to the wargaming table, just to make things look a little more interesting. The stuff I'm spraying there is CA accelerator for super glue, just to get my get the super glue fixed in place quickly. Alright, that's now solid enough. Perfect. As I say, what I want to kind of do is I want to make some like little flower bed kind of things for this. So I'm going to kind of square it off, and what I'm going to use for this is, if I can find it, oh, it's right in front of me, this stuff here, the earth texture from Vallejo. This is the brown earth version of this. Nice textured paste, which is also acrylic and very easy to go on as well. First of all, I'm going to have to dry off this CA accelerator, so I do apologise, I'm going to stick the hairdryer on for a second just to warm it up and get rid of the spray that I put on there. So let's just do that quickly. So you might want to mute. Right, there we go. Nice and easy. Alright. Like I said, the problem is the earth texture shouldn't take too. It's supposed to take about 45 minutes to dry, but if I use the hairdryer on it, it's not going to take a very long time. Right, come on, we've got 4 likes. I can see there's 9 people watching, so hit that like button, folks, and say hello in the chat, please. I'm just going to kind of do this random. I want to kind of have a bit of a path around the outside of the park, and then one right down the centre as well. Kind of got it in my head that I'm going to have 4 of these, so each of these corners are just going to be made up of this. So this is quite nice and easy to do, and what I will do then is I've got a load of flowers, tufts and things, which I'll add later, and they'll chuck a load of colour on it, but I'll also put a load of tufts and stuff on the outside of the park as well, in between the cracks of the cobblestones, because obviously weeds and things grow up pretty quick after rain. Just have to look outside on my road to notice that. Okay. I was half considering going down to Partizan with the club, because they've got a club game on tomorrow, which is a Zulu War game. We were playing it on Thursday night to try it out, basically to see if it would work as a participation game. It was black powder. I've never played black powder before, so I was kind of the guinea pig to see if it would work if somebody just walked up to the table and played. And the problem is, I thought until this week I was going to be working up in Edinburgh from Monday onwards, but it's not. Things have changed, and I'm going up on Wednesday instead of Sunday night. So my problem was going to be I'd drive down to parties and drive back up to the house, drive back up to Edinburgh, and I'd just be dead by the end of it. I wasn't even going to go to parties until about 3 days ago. Let's have a look in the old thing. You can only click like once. Is it purchased terrain or 3D printed by you? It's purchased from Sabotaged, which is spelled Sabotar with a 3D at the end of it instead of ED, so it's Sabotage. And Paul is very good. He's really good. He'll make stuff for you as well, bespoke stuff. He's done stuff for me in the past. Half of the stuff he sells isn't even on his website, so it's worthwhile talking to him about it. Have I seen the Eccentrics Man English Garden? Yes, this is a very nice garden, and it is very colourful. I do like it. Ken's garden, very inspiring. I did one myself, not as colourful as his, but similar. So I've been meaning to do a load of gardens for my buildings as they already are. I just want to kind of increase the look of my table, really, and that's the plan, and that's what Terraintober is all about. So get involved, get on Twitter, get involved. Right, so like I said, that's basically what I wanted to do with this, was just make these kind of 4 little patches, and then you've got the cobblestones through, and you've got a little walkway around it. Very simple and easy. Let me just give that another blast with the old hairdryer. So again, I do apologise. I want to I know full well that blasting a hairdryer out is probably not the best thing for a live stream, but I do apologise. I'll probably make some videos on making some of these terrains as well over the next few weeks as I'm making more myself, just to get some of these out. So right, I'm now going to paint the iron railings. Now this is the question: do I paint them as though they've been painted? You got a greenhouse in your workbench. Yeah, I've got a bunch of 3D printed greenhouses from Paul as well. I've not got around to using them yet. I need to get some. Well, I've got some material for making them into glazed greenhouses. Right. Do I paint the iron railings as though they've been painted? Because they generally are, aren't they? So I think I'm going to paint them in black. I think black is quite a nice colour for these kind of things. It's quite a nice, it stands out quite well. And then I'll see if perhaps this stuff in the centre might be dry enough to actually do a bit more with. So I will. So I'll paint these first of all. I might put a couple of bits of rust on as well, just to kind of really bring them out. Chipping a brain, yeah, chipping paint effect, yeah, I can do that afterwards. Some more details on there. But iron railings on things like parks and stuff are rarely just iron, are they? They are generally painted in some colour. So black it's going to be, I think. And then, like you said, Thomas, I will do some chipping effects on it, which will be dead easy. That's just going to be a sponge with metallic paint, and then I'll probably put some rust over the top of that as well, just to really add it into something else. So nice and easy here. I'll just get the most of this stuff on first of all, then I'll come back and do the real tiny details, like the hinges and things. Yeah, that looks better already. Even just having a black gate. It's just something as well to break up that stone colour, because there's a lot of stone colour on these, which I like, but obviously it's nice to have just a bit of contrast on things, isn't it? That's all it is. What's everybody else painting tonight? I know you're painting, Thomas. There's a question for everybody. All 7 of you are watching. Quiet night tonight. Well, I suppose it is Sunday, and I think Mel, the terrain tutor, is also doing a live stream as well tonight. But maybe he's not doing it till later on. I understand why there's few around. There we go. Having a cabbage patch and some leeks. No, not on this one. Not in this. This is not a garden. This is a public square, Kevin. I know there were some of them in the Second World War were given over to cabbage patch, but I want this to be able to be used in things like sharp practice as well. So I'm just going to leave it as a normal, well-maintained, flowery public square. Because also, you could argue that these iron railings were probably being snipped off as well in the Second World War, as they were to melt them down to make them into Spitfires, which never happened, because they're all still on railway sidings somewhere in the UK. But I want this as generic as possible so I can use it from basically from 1815 to 1945. Because things like this just don't go out of fashion, really. And a lot of them probably stretch all the way back to 1815 anyway, the ones that we see. A lot of them were built in the Victorian period, where people were getting more and more leisure time to go out into gardens and would take walks around and things like that. So that's what we see nowadays. Possibly some rust, yeah. I'm curious if you'll put another old tree in. Finally started to pay 15 million Prussians and Austrians. Will I put a tree in it? I did think about it, but I think because it's so small, a tree might just dwarf a lot of the stuff. I could just grab one. I could see what it looks like with a tree on it, just to see if it's worthwhile. I did think about it though, but I think just because it's quite a small thing, it might end up even just a small single tree might be too much. I want it to be able to be used so you can get figures in there. So that's the other thing as well. If you got a tree in there, you're automatically blocking loads of space out. What I can do is I could probably leave space and then put a tree in that is based, that I can actually put in or keep out at will. That might be a better idea, I think. So I prefer not to fix trees down just because of that. You know, the footprint of them is quite big. They do take up quite a lot of space. And there we go. Getting these slowly done. Looking good. So I'm quite pleased with that, even just with a single coat of black on it. I'll come back and do those details in a second. Yeah, maybe in the corner. Yeah, like I say, I've got loads of trees that are already on bases anyway, on their own base, so I can just quite easily just put one in if required. I'm just not going to fix one in at this point. Anyway, you should all be painting terrain for October rather than anything else. Time to get on it. Listening to the Yorkshire podcast last night. I had a good laugh. Good. Glad you enjoyed it, Ken. I had a good laugh as well. 3 hours we were talking rubbish. I think that's only part one. I've not listened to it yet, but I think that's only part one. Ken said he had split it into two, and it was the first time I've ever actually seen him in real life. See what his face looks like. He's because we did it by video, so it's interesting to see what the Yorkshire Gamer actually looks like. I would say he's got a face for radio, but I don't know if he's listening tonight. I'm sure he's heard that before. But yeah, we were talking. He mentioned doing it again at some point. So I'd be more than happy to do that. Hopefully, I should be seeing Sean as well tomorrow at the old at Partisan. Apologies, I'm just concentrating here as I'm just doing some of the details. There we go. Yeah, that's starting to look a lot better now. Even, like I said, just with that little extra bit of black just to lift it up a tiny bit. I'll stick some ivy over some of these walls as well. As I say, I'm going to put some tufts in the corners and in the cracks and things just to really set it off. Make it look okay. Come on people, hit that like button. I can see there's 9 people watching and only 5 likes. Dear, I've just got a load of black paint all over that brickwork. I will disguise that with some ivy. Mistakes can always be easily repaired. Although this is difficult stuff. These things, I mean, they don't take a long time at all to make. This kind of terrain, things like this. It's just the drying time. It probably only takes a couple of hours overall just to get these things done, if you work on them solidly, but everything has to dry, doesn't it? It just takes so long for stuff to dry. What were we saying, Kevin? Have you thought about making a nice paddy or tea plantation for your jungle south? I have, but paddy fields are not really a big thing where the Japanese were fighting in Malaya. It's one of those things that people get a little bit mistaken about. There's not many paddy fields out that way. They're on the other side of the peninsula, on the western side where the Japanese were advancing down. It's mostly rubber plantations rather than paddy fields. So I have considered it, but I'd be more likely to do a rubber plantation than I would a paddy field, and they're relatively simple. I don't want to tempt you to destroy them. Maybe a broken iron rod or two would give it a certain something. Yeah, I'll have a think about it. I did think about maybe even collapsing one of the walls, but it would show some damage on there at least, and the fact it's not being maintained. I'll have a think about it. I might snip 1 or 2 off at some point. Problem is, once you snip them off, you can't put them back on very easily. Evening, Ken. Been banished to the paint room, apparently. What the fuck is this bollocks? It's not the correct thing to say, Miss Harwin. She's watching Strictly. Right, well, there goes my advertising revenue. Thanks, Ken. Good to have you on board. Oh. Kevin was just saying earlier how much he enjoyed the latest episode of the podcast. I can't think why. 3 old farts chuntering on about nothing for a couple of hours. Can't imagine that's been very enjoyable to listen to. What are you painting tonight, Ken? Italian Wars, I assume. Right. Slowly getting there. These are actually taking a little bit longer than I thought they would. But they are working. I'm starting to bring it to life. That's all we need, isn't it? And then there won't be a massive amount needed. It'll just be bits of detailing, really. It was great fun. It certainly was, again. More than happy to do it again if you want, anytime. Just any time that we can fit it in. Yeah, it was good. I suppose it wasn't really so much about big battles, was it? Which is, I guess, why you called it something different. Anyway, we could do a 3-hour investigation into contrast paints. Hi Bjorn, good to have you on board. Good to see you. I'm sorry the live streams have been a bit quiet of late, simply because I've been away for the last fortnight. But I'm going to try and change that over the next few weeks, I should think. 50mm modern Syrian infantry, 3-tone Tano. 50mm, yeah, I've done something similar to that. I've done the German Fallschirmjäger with the 3-tone Stumpfmuster pattern. Must be mad, you can't see it, literally cannot see it from 3 foot away, but there we are. May have been the two of most popular podcast YouTubers on the scene. Cheers, Kevin. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Everybody should go and listen to it. Go and listen to the Yorkshire Gamers Great Big podcast. Should listen to it anyway. It's good. Not just the fact that Sean and I were on it. It's a good podcast. There's some great topics on there and some great guests and interesting stuff. Even if you're not particularly interested in big gaming, it's just good to hear about these things, what other people are up to and stuff. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Just keeping abreast of what's happening in the hobby. Come on, nearly there. Almost done now. See, stuff like this is incredibly boring though, isn't it? Just to paint. But it's almost done. Almost done. Any idea what the new Army Painter product is that they claim will speed up miniature painting? It's contrast paints. That's it. I think they're doing new ones. We were talking about, mentioned it, I think, didn't we? Ken, I think either you or Sean mentioned that Army Painter were doing their own contrast paints. So basically, yeah, that I assume is what it's going to be. I'm not seeing it because I don't really keep abreast of Army Painter's stuff. But it's what Games Workshop said the contrast paints were going to do. And to an extent they speed it up. All you figured, yeah. To an extent they do speed things up a little bit. Depends how you use them, really. I mean, I don't. But some people get some great results out of them. And each their own, isn't it, Ken, at the end of the day? I know you're probably getting triggered right now, talking about contrast paints. But yeah, you know. If it helps somebody paint something, and that's the best thing. I have my own advice for speeding up painting. What's that? Do it faster. Don't do layers. Thick paints. I think that's your advice. Don't thin your paints. Yeah, it can be The thing is, it can be quite confusing for new people starting, really, until you find your own technique. I mean, I'm always changing mine anyway. But painting is a bit of a difference. Yeah, don't be a perfectionist. Dry, fast drying and with contrast wash. Yeah, don't be a perfectionist. When you think it's done, it's done. Move on to the next thing. You can always go back to stuff. Some things aren't always finished. Stuff can always be revisited. I revisited some 20-year-old models just a couple of weeks ago. You know, I thought 20 years ago I'd finished those. Will I perhaps make another game with Little Wars? In any case, it was fun to watch you. Your two YT channels going into the hobby. Great, cheers, Ben. I would do. I'd be more than happy to. I'm waiting for the next moment, the next chance to do it. It was great fun to game against Miles, and I'd be happy to. And I suggested that we did something again, another collaboration between us. But I guess those. I mean, I've been busy for the last 2 weeks anyway. Did I mention I've been away? I was in Rome. I don't know if I mentioned it. Possibly mentioned it once. I don't know. But I was away for a little while, and obviously I've not had a chance to do anything and set anything up. So I will do at some point. I'm sure we'll have a chat about it. I've got some plans with Little Wars. I'm not going to talk too much about because I haven't done it yet. Number one, but I've got a slight collaboration with them coming up, but it's not a big video like we did. And yeah, what was it Ken you said? Stop fucking about. Absolutely, I agree. That's the number one thing you should do with painting. Just stop fucking about. Just get on with it. There you go. Bang goes my monetization yet again. I get slung off. Renovating the destroyed building. Yes, there you go. That's I did a few of those because I had some of those for about 20 years, and I just thought, right, well, let's just get them redone and bring them back to life. So things are never truly finished. You can always add stuff, go back to things. Right, I'm just thinking about these caps now on the top of this stonework, whether I want them a different colour or if I should leave them. What I might do is if I add the grass, at least now, that will show me kind of what they look like and how they stand out. And if I want to break up the colours a little bit of the overall thing. So I've got the black on now, and I've got, I think this is it dry enough to paint over? Tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it another blast with the hairdryer, so you might want to hit the mute button for a second while I do this, just to make sure it is dry. Should be enough for now. Apologies for that. Trajan's column, yeah, it was ace, that. Brilliant. And the that link, I'm assuming, is the National Geographic investigation of it. It's fucking brilliant, really good. Thomas says grey stone caps. Yeah, I was thinking that myself. Thomas, I might just do them in stone grey. But what I'm going to do is, like I said, first of all, I'm going to add the grass itself first of all, and we're going to go from there and we'll see how it looks after that, because that might give me an idea as to what to do next. Obviously I've not varnished anything yet, but I will varnish everything together at the end, because I recently realised that the varnish actually works on static grass as well, so I don't need to varnish it and then put the static grass on. I'm going to put this stuff on first of all, and then I'm going to add, once this is dried, I'm going to add the flowers to it. I want to also, like I say, put some more grass around the outside just to seal up some of the bits and pieces. Paint them as golden balls, perhaps. Might be maybe a bit garish though, golden ones. Most of those caps are made of stone, aren't they? And I think golden ones would be stolen quite quickly. Right, let's... This will make a nice little centrepiece for a town or something, a little village. This is just, I'm just using PVA glue here, just for the static grass. Some people use static grass applicators, I don't bother. You just have to blow on it and it'll stand up, to be honest. Especially in 15mm anyway. Right, here we go. Normally I hate gardening. But I'm quite happy to make miniature gardens. I don't know what that says about me. Only if there's blue blood here there. Yeah, exactly. When doing terrain, many forget how colourful the world is, even while war is raging. Absolutely. Flowers are always a nice touch. Yeah, yeah. And grass grows within days and takes hold within days. I'll say I know because I end up weeding the garden literally days after rainfall. So I just suddenly come back in. Problem is with my grass at the moment, it's got other little bits and pieces in it, which aren't static grass. So once I put the static grass on, I've got to actually go back over it again and make sure I've got all the tiny bits out, little bits of plastic and stuff from other things. Okay, right, so kind of got our little grassy bits there. Just going to grass these again. Do apologise again, it's all about the it's a wonderful experience listening to the hairdryer going off. Okay, got those bits in, and I want to stick some more stuff like ivy and things as well over these, but I'm still thinking about what to do with those stone caps yet. So I'm going to add some tufts first of all. Add some flower tufts. So these are the tufts I've got. So I've got red, yellow, white, blue. I've also got a load of small tufts as well, which I'm going to use for the brickwork and stonework and things where grass would grow. I don't want to I don't want to overdo this. Hey up, Richard. Good to have you here. I don't want to overdo this, but I kind of want to just make it look a little brighter, a little bit of light. Let's have a look. See how we get on. Just add a little bit of PVA because that PVA is still wet, and I like to double up the stickiness of the tufts as well with a little blob of PVA. If I waited until this was completely dry, I wouldn't need to do that, but I'm not because I'm impatient. I'd like to get these done. I could do them in some kind of patriotic colours or something, couldn't I? Forgot to turn the volume down despite you telling me to. I thought it was a Heathrow. Apologies. There we go. That's our first one. So, do we continue and do more of them on the other beds? I'll tell you what, I'll also add some green ones as well. I get too many warning hairdryer sounds loads through my headset. Sorry. You're doing modern Russian contractors. Okay, interesting. Interesting mix of things that's going on tonight. I do apologise, everyone. I did say I'm gonna do some. It's your own faults. Right. And you in there. Don't worry, I don't think I'm going to use a hairdryer again for the rest of tonight. So it upsets everybody too much. What time we're on anyway? 10 to 8:15. I'm just going to do this until I've got to a point where I can't do much more with it. Or I don't want to do much more with it. I'll watch some more Seinfeld, I think. Okay. It's coming along alright, I think, isn't it? Starting to look something like. I'm just adding a bit of dash and colour to the proceedings. Let's make this into a little bit of greenery over here, I think. I'm going to stick quite a few green ones in. That's quite interesting there, isn't it? Because, you know, they're not always set colours, are they? Different kinds of creatures. I actually thought it was going to be a graveyard so recently. Apparently you've gone among the gardeners for the second time. No, a little small for a graveyard. But a graveyard is a good idea actually for these iron railings. Maybe the next one might be a graveyard. I've already got a graveyard for the church, but you can never have too many graveyards, can you? We're saying, come on Ken, tell like what to put in his garden. Contrast paints, I think. I think Ken will want those to go in the graveyard. Put a couple of yellow ones in here, and one last one. Stick a blue one in there, just to break it up. Don't even know what kind of plants these are supposed to be. Right, there we go. That's the planters. Nice little park for somebody to walk about. Problem is I don't have any park benches. That would be a nice little touch as well, some park benches. But it's a nice little a little park there. And now the rest of my tufts here. So I'm going to put some ivy as well on some of these railings. Let's have a look. Some of these tufts in these corners. You do always get grass and things growing up. Just put those in. We have Wargames Room 101 for the contrast paint stuff. That'll be your Wargames Room 101, wouldn't it, Ken? Mine was people who abuse point systems. which I think we can all agree on. Okay, so we've got some weeds and stuff kicking about now on the outside of this, at least. So I want some ivy, and I want some ivy in one of these corners as well, so I'm going to put a load of ivy in this back corner, I think. This kind of ivy gets out of hand very quickly. I have personal knowledge of this because the ivy in our back garden got out of hand and nearly pulled the wall down. So there we go. Let's have a look at this stuff I've got. I've got to find it. This is some railway modeller's ballast stuff that I've got. Can't remember for the life of me where I got this from, but it's great stuff. If I could remember where it was, I'd buy a ton more of it. It's like tiny leaves. Garden used to be a pigsty, a part of the old farm style. That would look good. Yeah, that'll be on another one that I do at some point in the future, I'm sure. I've got some little wooden outhouses that I'll be using for some of the other gardens that I'm going to make for my buildings. That's my terrain toba. What we talk about, like bolt action and organiser force in the way that you have more order dice in the bag. Mini maxing, yeah, basically. People points. People who abuse the point system, where they make the best army out of the least points. It's from my point of view, it completely goes against the whole idea of gaming. You know, it's just, if people want to do that, it's up to them, of course, but I just think, you know, it's one of those things, just why bother? People walk through the gates and across the pass, so those areas would have to be brushed a little brightly. What do you think? Yes, I can dry brush those central parts. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put on, I've not done it yet, but I'm going to put on some powders, some weathering powders, to break it up as well, so that will give a little bit more contrast to the stonework. I've just not done it yet, but that is part of the plan, so don't worry about that. I'm going to make all of this back end covered in ivy, because unfortunately I got I misglued this part of the kit, and it's kind of just standing proud from the floor, so I'm going to use the ivy to cover that up, cover a multitude of sins, because ivy gets out everywhere. It works for that kind of thing. So the ivy's not only just grown into the thing, it's come out onto the road side as well. But it's just gonna, I'm using it to mask my own stupid mistakes. Alright, so this stuff is fantastic. It works really well as ivy. I just wish I could remember where it came from. There we go. So there you go, you got one bit of completely covered in ivy. Again, just to break it up really, just to make it look slightly different in a bit, in parts of it. The next thing I want to do is, I think I'm going to do a little bit of damage on this, on the ironworks. So for that I'm going to need oily steel and got an old sponge. It's covered in cat hair because she's obviously been sniffing around. Alright, that'll be nice and easy. Again, we've got 14 people watching this. Give me a like. hit that like button if you're watching and you're enjoying it. So this is a nice simple chipping effect. Just get a ripped up sponge, dip it in your paint and just tap it on in places where you would see chips. I do this. It's not going to be very noticeable, but it's just going to add a tiny bit of contrast to the proceedings. I'm feeling inclined just to leave these stone caps in the same colour. I might just dry brush them slightly lighter. Apart from that, so what about a vineyard Italian game? Since you've been to Rome, what have we got next on Monument to 2? I have a vineyard. Well, I've got vines. Again, I've left them so I can just make it as big as or as small as I want. Using chain of command, for example, where Germans, from my experience, always have superior firepower in their sections. Due to belt-fed LMGs, the point system doesn't always produce a fair matchup, I think. No, it doesn't, but that's the point of chain of command. It's not supposed to be fair. It's a more of an Orbat. That's why BA is more popular. Yes, I mean, you know, bolt action can be played as a tournament. A lot of people like tournament games, which is where a lot of the mini-maxing comes from. The problem is when it spreads into other games. I don't really care about it in tournament games, so I don't play them. But yeah, I mean, you know, chain of command, richest point is always, if you use the tactics of the time, then you will triumph, basically. You know, that's the point. I mean, I don't like. The only reason I really use points in games is just to give you an idea of balance. It's not. It doesn't even have to be balance, really. Last through in the Mud and Blood was quite nice, even if it ended quickly for the Germans. Can you still find stones today? Stones? What? As in Poitiers? Yeah, Poitiers is a rebuilt village. It's still there. Not to mention the influence of Warhammer and the direction of Mass Appeal. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Play the period. Yeah. Yes, Warhammer is definitely pushes that. One day I'll work out where that like button is. On the right hand, just below the screen, Kevin, on the right hand side. Okay. Starting to look a little bit better now. Trying to think of what else I need to put on this. I'd like to disguise some of these bits over here where it's kind of standing proud a little bit, where I knackered it up, sticking the thing together. Just trying to wonder what I can put in there that isn't grass. A bit more ivy, perhaps. Don't know. It might work. I'm gonna give it a go. Fear naught. You know what they say. You know, because once things start to spread, they do take root everywhere, don't they? So let's have a look. The small stones. Oh yeah, can I still find them? Oh yes, I get you. Yeah, they keep turning up. Yeah, they do. I didn't get them all when I put it away. I just thought, you know, it'll add a little 3D extra to the whole proceedings, doesn't it? There we go. That's fixed my mistakes, I think. So I just need to do some weathering powders, really. I think it might. Don't want to jinx this, but it might be there. I might add a bit of rust later. Yeah, and if you play the period, there's no balance. Absolutely. You know, I don't. Never in history have two entirely balanced forces faced off against each other. It just doesn't happen. You know, it's not something that happens at all. Right. I was going to cover that siding ivy. I forgot the one with the black paint on it. But we can argue that that black paint was being painted over by some idiot who was painting it at the time, because people make mistakes, you know. So I'm going to wave that away like that. Right, my weathering powders is the next thing. So we're getting there. What time have we got? 8:30. So I've got deep black, dark brown. Ben said he wanted white. I've got some rust as well there, which I might use on some of the railings. Let's go with white. Let's just lighten stuff up. Parties on tomorrow. Huge crowds as first show back. Still lots of people staying away from crowds there for a quiet touch. Cat litter is good for his rubble. Yes, it is. I used to use cat litter a lot, actually, Kevin. But yes, parties on. I'm going to be interesting to see how many people do show up for it tomorrow, Ken. I think a lot of people are quite excited about it, so I think it's going to be pretty well attended, to be honest. The British don't phone the Germans asking them to wait to the massive firepower before it's out. Absolutely. Even the clumping count of the cat litter. Yeah, as long as you use PVA glue on it. We're really watered down PVA glue just to hold it in place. I've used it plenty of times in the past. It's probably a little bit too big for 15mm, but for 28mm I think it'll work quite nicely. But better not after he's used. Yeah, cats. Very much so. Yeah, especially my cats. How many people don't want to be an underdog? Yeah, I think some of the best games we've had has been where one side has been completely and utterly overwhelmingly opposed by another side, and they've either they've come out of it well, or they've held on for a long time. Like, we've played a lot of Malaya games, and the British and the Indians in Malaya are always completely overwhelmed by the Japanese. It still doesn't make the game any less better. I'm not sure if these weathering powders are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. I've gone a bit overboard with them. Might have wrecked it. What I'll do is I'll probably give her a bit of a wash with Agrax. See how we go with that. I want to do some tide lines on the outside of this though. If nothing else, this will add a bit of contrast at least to the street level part of it at least. Let's see. The thing is, if you do make mistakes and stuff on these things, it doesn't really matter, because they're part of a whole. They're not just the only thing that's going to be on the table. You know, people aren't just going to be looking at this one thing and noticing your mistakes. It's going to, because I always notice my mistakes, but my mates always say they don't give it two thoughts. So when somebody else is playing the game, you know, they're not looking at all the little bits that you missed, or the bits that you painted wrong or something. And you can basically, you know, get away with most stuff anyway by saying it's just a mistake from somebody else in real life, in the game real life. I think the difference between games like Crossgrave and similar historical war games was that the whole points-based systems. Let's just do some. I think I put a little bit too much on there in that centre. I don't really like it much. That's my own mistake. But again, I'm the only one that's going to notice it. I just want to put some tide marks in here. I bet the 24th is one of the wish for a better point system. Yeah, absolutely. If they could have minimaxed that game, I think they certainly would have done. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind point systems because they help you to create a balanced game if that's what you want, and also you can use them to to tip the game whichever way you want. I think what I don't like is the way that some players will squeeze the most out of them just in order to win. So that's not really why I play games. I'm not that bothered about it, you know. That's how people do it, and that's entirely their dues, but not me. Spread that out a bit so it looks like people have walked through with muddy shoes. Yeah, I'm a bit annoyed about that centre. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try it with an Agrax wash and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? It can only look worse, can't it? And then I'll throw the entire thing in the bin. That is actually looking better already, and it also just breaks up the colour as well of the path, or gives it a different colour. So I'm just adding a different colour in there, I think. Should have done this before, really, using this Agrax. It looks a lot better than what I did before. But then this will give me a nice different coloured path on the inside of this park than what is on the outside, so it looks like they've used different stone. So I'm happy to use it. Agrax to the shade, to the saviour again. Comes well with the added texture. Yeah, it does. It's the two are working together. Just give that a little wash as well, just to give that a little bit of depth. Nearly there. And last little corner, I would just want to add a couple more weathering powders just on the outside, just to do a little bit more, I think. Get that brush out of the way. So I'm just going to add a bit more weathering powder to the outer area, and I think I might be pretty much done with that, or until I let it dry and then come back to it later and forget the tree with all the green. You can either put a granny or a sheep in it. That's true. Find my brush. These weathering powders are excellent. I use them mainly for modelling, for military modelling rather than wargaming stuff, but they're perfect for terrain. They're really nice. Well worth getting hold of. I've also got some weathering pencils as well, which I sometimes use. Don't know, tell you what I haven't done. I haven't done my flurry washers. There's some grime and stuff. I can do a bit of a flurry wash here and there on this as well. Let's have a look. Grime out. Just finished a Mark 1 Ford Escort for bank robbers. Use loads of agrax and it works wonders every time. It certainly does. It's a saviour of the modern world. If they stopped making it, I wouldn't know what I'd do with myself. Just get a bit of grime on here and there. Just a nice little wash. Just yet again, just to break up because it's so square. How do, Jason? A Twitter superhero. I don't know about that. Good to have you on board. I'm coming to the end of this stream just now, though. I think I'm pretty much done with this. As it stands, I might come back to it later, and I might do a couple of other bits and pieces here and there on that. But I think I'm quite happy with that. I think I've kind of added pretty much everything I want to. I might have a look at it again in the cold light of day tomorrow. Right, acrylic texture paste, brilliant stuff. Yeah. It is. It's great. Use it all the time, as you saw tonight. So I've taken that, and that's taken what, an hour and 15 minutes so far. Right, I'm going to give it a blast with the old hairdryer, but that is done, and I am going to sign out on that. I think I'm just going to let that dry. I'm quite pleased with that, how that's turned out. As I say, I might have a look at it again in the morning and just see if there's anything that I've missed or I think it needs adding to. I do miss seeing you guys in a Discord, but not part of the lot of events, so I felt best to leave with each group. It overwhelmed me, so that's fair enough. I think the Discord is quieting down quite a lot anyway, Jason, to be honest. There's only about 3 people that post on there at the moment. Over the years, I found Wargaming had friends who favoured a particular nation, the sound of the guns or rules, British Napoleonics. A lovely trim bush. Yeah, well, Discord is an issue. Right, well look chaps, thanks everybody for signing in and saying hello. It's been a pleasure to have you on board. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber, and I shall see you on the next live stream, or at least on the next video. And I'm going to say good night all, and thank you Rob, thank you very much Rob and Ken. I am done.